Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Please say hi in the chat box if you can hear me. Okay, great. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our last class for this week. So, today we are going to be talking about organizing information properly in technical writing. So, that's one of our last topics for this week. So, in technical writing, organizing information refers to the systematic arrangement of content, data, and ideas within a document to facilitate understanding, clarity, and effective communication, right? So, it involves structuring the information in a logical and coherent manner so that readers can easily navigate the text, comprehend the subject matter, and locate specific details as needed. So the way you organize your writing and your documents when writing technical content is very, very important because if your document is badly organized, people are not going to be able to understand it first and they won't be able to know that okay, this is the point where I am and this is supposed to be the next thing based on the whole idea of the document, right? So there are so many benefits that you get from organizing your document properly, the information in your documents properly, right? So we're going to look at some of them in this section. So the first one is clarity. So properly organized information ensures that ideas are presented in a logical sequence, making it easier to for readers to follow the content, right? So if you are writing an article for no a tutorial, for example, right? You are writing a tutorial about how to build a chat app in JavaScript and React. So you are building the full app and everything, and you are talking about it in the tutorial. So logically, you have to like present each step that comes before the other, right? So for example, in that case, you have to present okay the whole idea of the app, what the app is supposed to do at the end of the article and everything first. Then you start with the front end, which is the UI, HTML, CSS, you style it, then you move on to the functionality, then you move on to the testing, like that, till the end of the article. So the part where you're talking about HTML and CSS, you don't mix JavaScript in between because that will confuse the reader, right? So just focus the section on HTML and CSS. So when they leave the article and they come back later, they can easily see that okay, um, I'm still on the section that was talking about HTML and CSS like that. So makes your writing very, very clear and easy to follow. So the next one is improved understanding. When information is structured coherently, readers can grasp the main concepts and details more easily, right? When the structure is nice and they know that okay, these are the things that are supposed to come before this, and it is like that. So they feel like okay, this is what I'm looking for, and it helps them understand and use the article properly and easily, right? So the next one is reduce cognitive load. So proper organization minimizes the mental effort required to process information, allowing readers to focus on content rather than struggling to find their way. So as I mentioned in the first point, when the article is structured as it is supposed to be, like logically, that okay, JavaScript section is not supposed to come before HTML and CSS, and the functionality is not supposed to come before the UI, right? So this way, they are not thinking about okay, um, what does this mean? Is this talking about the JavaScript concept, or are we still talking about CSS? Right? If you're not mixing everything together to be easy, they know that okay, we are still working on styling here, right? So they don't need to think about okay, is this JavaScript, is this TypeScript, or is this CSS? They know that this is HTML and CSS section, and that's all it will be about. Then when they move to JavaScript, they know that okay, we are done with CSS now, we're working with JavaScript now. So that way the content will be like easy to follow because they are not thinking about a lot of stuff. They are thinking about what you are talking about at that point in the article, right? So the next one is efficient retrieval. So a well-organized document enables readers to quickly locate specific information they need, such as references, data, or procedures. So in this case, if assuming you are writing about a whole project, you are documenting a whole project, and someone just needs to read about a specific part of the project, right? So they won't need to read everything. Okay, yeah, so Abolade, we are talking about organizing information properly in technical writing today. Yeah, good afternoon, with that. So when someone needs to like read about a specific part of the project in the documentation, they won't need to read from the beginning so they can understand, right? So once you organize your documents properly, they can just go to that part and be sure that okay, this is the part I need, and they can read that and understand, right? It's not enough to just organize it properly. You have to be clear at every point of the way. Each section must be they have to be able to use each section alone. So you can link to things we've talked about in different part of the project in that section, but each section must be able to stand alone for people to just retrieve that information and use it however they want it, right? So that's another benefit of organizing your documents properly or your content. So the next one is effective skimming. So when you use clear headings, subheadings, and formatting, it makes it effortless for readers to skim through documents and find relevant sections, right? So using the example of building an app and writing a tutorial on it, so they can just skim and say, okay, this is HTML and CSS section, this is JavaScript section, this is the functionality part, this is where we build the chat box feature, and like that. So they don't need to read everything from start to understand. They can just skim through it, okay, look at the headings and find the relevant section that where they can continue where they stopped or what they need in that article. So effective skimming is another benefit of that you get when you structure and organize your documents properly. So the last one is facilitated learning. So in educational or training materials like project documentation, organized content aid in the learning process, helping learners or readers build their knowledge step by step, right? So when you're writing about the project, you have to start at the lowest point where they don't need to know anything, or where you set out the prerequisites for using the material. Then when you organize it properly, you can be sure that you are taking them step by step and not talking about things they don't know yet or things they should not know, right? So organizing your content properly helps you build the content step by step, which helps the user to use it properly and easy, right? So they can be sure that okay, this is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about a different thing or anything, any foreign concept that you've not introduced. It's not in the in that part of the document or article, right? So it helps them learn faster about the project or the API or the product you're documenting, right? So organizing your documents is very, very important and key. And not just organizing them properly, right? So another one is reduced errors. So organizing data and instructions in technical documents systematically reduces the likelihood of errors in interpretation or implementation, right? So when you are building an app in a tutorial, you have to organize the instructions logically, like do things one after the other. You don't do things that you should do before, after, or things you should do after before doing it. So organizing instructions systematically reduces the likelihood of errors because when you say something you should say after before in your article, when they run the code, they get an error and they feel like, and people have this tendency to stay stuck at that point and just go back instead of moving forward because that's just what makes sense. Like, let me see what I missed previously. They won't move forward because they are getting their error and they will not know that, okay, maybe they still need to move forward, right? So organizing it systematically in the sense that you talk about things you should at every point where it is necessary. So you don't talk about JavaScript where you are talking about CSS. So they are not confused or they don't run the code and they get an error and they cannot move forward because they feel like they've missed something. So they have to go back. Then they figure out that when they go back and they walk through the process again, they still get that error at that point. So they might just abandon the document or the article altogether, like they don't understand what's going on here, right? So organizing data and instructions systematically reduces the likelihood of errors and in interpretation or implementation, right? So the next one is enhanced professionalism. So a well-structured document conveys professionalism and competence, which is especially important in technical field. So before some people, before they even read the article, they need to like look at maybe your profile or if it's like a very complex topic, they maybe go through your GitHub to see maybe okay, this person has this experience before reading your article because they don't want to be more confused than they were before reading the article. So a well-structured document conveys that professionalism and competence because they know that okay, this thing is well structured and this person knows what they're talking about. So that's another benefit. So effective communication, properly organized technical writing helps bridge the gap between experts and non-experts by making information more accessible. Like I mentioned before, when you organize your documents properly, both experts and non-experts can use the content in the sense that they know that you are taking them step by step and you are making them understand that point, that section before moving on to the next one. So it makes them feel like comfortable with the content, like okay, we are doing this first, then we are moving on. While experts can just come and say, okay, um, I'm looking for the part where you start writing the code for the core feature or the core thing that we are building in this article. So experts can just move on to that part while non-experts can go step by step from the beginning and be able to use the article to accomplish whatever task they have at hand. So properly organizing your writing helps you communicate all your points and all your instructions effectively, right? So the next one is time savings. Readers save time when they can quickly find what they need. which improves efficiency and productivity, right? So if I know about HTML, CSS before reading your JavaScript article, I can just move on to the article to the JavaScript part because the document is well organized and I can see the headers and everything easily. So that will save me time instead of me having to read from start to the point where I should have started from if the document was organized properly. So to save readers time when they can quickly find what they want. Same goes for project documentation. When you organize the information properly, they can go to the points where they need without having to read from the beginning to that point before they can use the document, right? So that's everyone save time. So the next one is improved decision making. Technical documents often serve as references for decision making, and properly organized information helps stakeholder make informed choices. So, for example, if the CEO that is not a very technical person has to make some decisions on features or business aspects of the product, and they need to like know some information. So when you give them a disorganized document, they have to like make sense of every single thing in the document. Well, if the document has been properly organized, they can just go to that point where they need that, okay, this is the feature we're talking about, and I can just use this part of the document to make the decision without having to read like hundreds of pages before getting to that point, depending on the scope of the project and how big it is. So it will help them save time and improve their decision making. So the next one is enhanced collaboration. So technical writing is usually like a collaborative effort. And when multiple individuals work on technical documents, proper organization ensures that everyone is on the same page, which reduces misunderstandings and conflicts. So, so when you are collaborating on a document and there is a proper structure and organization in place, you can just each person can just go to where they can know that okay, this is the point where I contribute or this is the point where I wait because they've not gotten to where I can impute my uh, my own effort in the document. So that prevents everyone from like churning out content without knowing when they should and when they should not. So proper organization ensures that everyone is on the same page. Like okay, I need to wait here and let this person work on this part before continuing, right? So these are the benefits of organizing information properly, and you can see that there are a lot. So it is very, very important that you organize your content properly because if you don't, a lot of people are not going to be able to use it, right? So let's look at the drawbacks of disorganized information technical writing. Some of the issues you are going to face if you don't organize your content and documents properly. So the first one is confusion. Organizing information badly in technical documents leads to confusion as readers struggle to understand the logical flow of information or locate specific details. So like I mentioned earlier, if people have to like read from the start to the point where they need um, the article, they will be confused because before reading to that point, they might have forgotten what they've read before and have to like go back, or they don't know where they are in the documents at specific points in time. Like, okay, this is where I stopped. They won't be able to do that because the document is not structured properly and it is very hard to follow, right? So you struggle to understand the logical flow of information and locate specific details. right? So, for example, now, if you don't use headers in your article or any kind of separators, you just wrote everything as one paragraph, or you separate the paragraphs but no headings, or because, for example, now, this paragraph here now, you know that confusion is the whole idea of this specific drawback. Like, we're talking about how organizing documents badly cause confusion. So, for example, if you are writing an article and you don't put any type of formatting or headings or anything in place, it will not make any sense, because they have to like keep going back and forth. Like, they'll forget where they are in the documents at where they left and where they are supposed to continue reading on that. So, organizing information badly causes a lot of confusion, right? So the next one is misinterpretation. So if you're writing an article and you just, in one paragraph or in one section, you talked about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in one single section, they are going to like wonder what you are talking about. They are going to interpret it in multiple ways, and they'll come to incorrect conclusions and make mistakes, because they are not sure maybe this particular concept is referring to JavaScript or CSS or HTML, right? So they are going to interpret it and conclude that, okay, this is what this means, whereas that's not what it meant or what you are trying to convey, right? So misinterpretation is a very, very huge problem when you don't organize your articles or your content properly. So the next one is loss of credibility. So disorganized content can erode a writer's credibility, making the readers question the accuracy and professionalism of the document. So if you wrote an article and you didn't put any headings or separate the paragraphs or anything, they'll be like, how do I even trust that this person is giving me the correct information when they are not even formatting the article properly, and I cannot even point out where I am at this point in the article, right? So they don't trust your article, they don't trust your contents, they just leave the documents altogether. Like, I cannot read this because I'm not sure this person is even talking about this concept properly, or they are even correct, or right. So they are not sure, they are just going to toss it. Like, I can't use this content. So you lose credibility when your content is disorganized. The next one is frustration. So readers may become frustrated when they cannot easily find the information they need, leading to a negative reading experience. For example, if I'm reading an article now and the article is like 7 parts article, and I don't need to read everything because I'm looking for a specific thing, I won't be able to do that if the content is not organized properly, right? And that will lead to a negative reading experience, because I'll just leave the document altogether. Like, I'll become frustrated from searching and going back and forth and trying to make sense of every single thing before I can use the article. So disorganized content frustrates readers and users of your document. So reduce inefficiency. Poorly organized documents waste readers' time, as they must expend extra effort to navigate and comprehend the content. Again, if they are stuck with your article and they don't have any other choice than to use it, they are going to waste a lot of time, because they have to go back and forth to understand where they are in the document, know what you're talking about at that particular section or at that particular point in that section, and it will make it even harder for them to understand. So if they are stuck with your document, you just have to sit there and go back and forth and waste a lot of time. So the next one is information overload. So lack of organization can overwhelm readers with too much information at once. Like I mentioned earlier, they're going to be confused, and it will be a lot to take in when you are talking about like a lot of things in one section, instead of separating them and making each section stand alone so they can read that part and understand before moving to the next one. If you don't do that, the information will be too much and it will be challenging to digest the material because they are not going to understand what you're talking about easily. So if they don't have any choice, they're stuck with you and they need to like use their brain power to properly organize it and even start taking a lot of notes to be able to use the article. Whereas if they have choice, they just drop your article and go look for an alternative, right? So the attendance link is in the chat box now for you guys to fill. So another drawback of organizing information badly is loss of focus, because readers may lose focus and interest in the material when information is scattered or not presented in a logical order. So they are going to get lost in your documentation because you did not organize it properly and information is scattered everywhere. So it will it will be hard for them to make sense of the whole document, right? So the next one is difficulty in updates. Updating or revising disorganized documents can be a time-consuming and error-prone process, as changes may disrupt the existing structure. So I think in the first class or the second class, someone asked if they can just drop the content after they are done with it, like just drop it. So I answered that it depends. So if it's a documentation, every single technical content has to be updated at some point, right? So it depends on the context. If you are working in a company and you are writing their documentation, you have to constantly update the the content so people can use it every time while being sure that it is updated and everything is correct at every point in time, right? So updating a document that is not properly structured would be very, very hard because most times you are not updating the whole document. You are updating like specific sections, right? So if the document is not already organized in sections, you probably have to like rewrite the document or touch on every single part of the document because you're making a simple update, which is supposed to be in a particular section if the document had been organized properly previously, right? So it will be very, very difficult to update documents that are not organized properly. So it will take a lot of time and you might even end up messing up the whole document because you have to like touch on every part. It does not make a lot of sense. So the next one is communication breakdown. Misaligned organization, which means bad organization of the documents, can lead to misunderstandings, miscommunication, and breakdowns in collaboration between teams or departments, right? So if the document is not organized properly, people tend to misinterpret it as we've seen earlier, and they might just understand it in a specific way and just go with that. And some other person will understand it in another way and go with that. Then when all the efforts are to be combined, if they find out that okay, oh, I didn't know this was what the documentation means by this social term, and the other person said, oh, this I wrote something else or I did something else, and everything is just um everywhere is just scattered and chaos starts happening because people have to go back and read or redo the whole work they've done before and everything, right? So poorly organized documents can lead to communication breakdown and waste a lot of time when people need to collaborate. So reputation damage. I mentioned earlier that the benefit of properly documented content enhances professionalism in the sense that it shows people that you know what you're talking about. So reputation damage, poorly organized technical writing can harm an organization's reputation as it reflects a lack of attention to detail and professionalism. So people are just going to leave your products altogether when they can't make sense of the documentation or articles or guides. So they're just going to drop it that this company is not, they're not serious because they can't even explain their own product in a way that I can easily understand. So to damage your reputation that even later or when if you offer like different products and in the future they hear like the name of your company like you are going to be using so and so to do this part of the product and people are just going to suggest other alternatives like I try to use the documentation when we were working on social or something and I could not make sense of it. So that was why we had to use something else. So they're just going to drop it if everyone has the same complaint, right? So reputation damage is a very, very costly drawback of poorly organized content. So ineffective scheming, people can't just go to what they need without reading everything if the document is disorganized, right? So without clear headings and subheadings, readers will not be able to skim through the document to identify relevant section. Like I don't need to read the whole thing before knowing that okay, this is where I don't know. So this is what I need. I won't be able to do that if the article is just a series of paragraphs instead of sections with clear headings and subheadings, right? So ineffective skimming is another drawback. So if you have any question about what we've talked about so far, you can drop it in the chat box. So moving on, we'll be talking about using style guides in technical writing in this section. So a style guide is a comprehensive set of guidelines and standards that dictate how written content should be formatted, structured, and presented. Right, so it serves as a reference manual for writers, helping them maintain uniformity in their work. Style guides cover a wide range of elements, including grammar, punctuation, formatting, tone, and terminology. And while they are used in various types of writing, they are particularly crucial in technical writing where precision and consistency are paramount. So if you're writing blog post about maybe uh, fun things, you're writing about things that are not technical, you can write different articles with different styles and different formatting, different fonts, different terminologies because you are writing for the general public and you're not writing anything complex, right? So when you are working with complex topics and concepts, you need to be precise and consistent in your grammar, your punctuation, your formatting, your tone, terminology, and the rest. So a style guide helps a lot in this case. So We're going to be looking at key components of a style guide in this section. So one of the key components of a style guide is the grammar and punctuation section. So this section outlines the preferred rules for grammar, punctuation, and syntax. So it provides guidance on sentence structure, word usage, and how to handle common grammar and punctuation issues. Right? So every single style guide has this section because that's like the basis of everything you are doing. So formatting and layout section. This section covers aspects such as font choice, margins, font size, headings, subheading size, using lists, tables, and figures. Right. So this section provides like guidelines on when you should use lists, when you should use tables, when you should use another list, when you should put the numbers, when you should number the list, and so on, right? So it ensures that documents have a consistent and professional appearance. So terminology and vocabulary section. This section of the style guide specifies preferred terminology depending on the company and the product, right? So specified preferred terminology, abbreviations, and acronyms. So it may include explanation. It may also include explanation of technical terms for the benefit of non-expert readers, right? So the next one is tone and style. So the tone and style section defines the appropriate tone for the document, whether it should be formal, informal, or technical, right? So it would address issues like voice usage, active voice, passive voice, sentence and paragraph length, and readability in general. So generally, it's like focuses on the tone of your document at the start. So the next one is citation and references. So for technical documents that rely on external sources, such as documentation of that. So this section provides guidelines for citations and references. So it's going to like outline the preferred citation style. For example, if you're going to be using the MLA um, style of citing sources or Chicago style guide or however you want to do it. For example, when you are linking to a word in your article, right? Some style guides refuse the linking of one word. So some style guides say that okay, just link to the whole sentence in some cases, while some style guides will say write your sentence, then put maybe the name of the author of what you are linking to in brackets, then you link to that instead. So this section provides like guidelines in those cases, right? And it also deals with attribution, how you attribute like statistics and things like that. So you are giving due attribute to the work of other people that are not yours. So the next section is document review and approval process. So the style guide has to also detail how the content the content process works, how you draft, how you outline, right? So this section details the process for reviewing and approving documents. It specifies who is responsible for reviewing the content, what criteria they should consider, and how revisions and approvals should be documented. So those are the key components of of a very good style guide. So, how to use a style guide? So, the first step to using a style guide is familiarizing yourself with the guide. So, you start by thoroughly reading and familiarizing yourself with the style guide you will be using. You pay attention to the rules and recommendations and make notes of any specific requirements or conventions. So, if it's a very large document, like I have companies that use style guides of 25 pages of PDF. So you have to like read and familiarize yourself with the document properly and pay attention to the rules, the recommendations, and make notes. Right. So the next one is create a reference sheet. So the 25 pages is it's not efficient to start reading the whole 25 pages each time you are writing an article. So you can just create a reference sheet based on the style guide. So this can be a quick reference tool for common issues like formatting, which includes like, okay, this is the font size for paragraph, font size for headings, font size for H1, font size for H4, and things like that. Citation styles, what color should the link be? Should it be purple? Should it be the normal blue? And preferred terminology. So things you know that you are going to need every single time you write, you can create a reference sheet that you can just use that instead of going to the style guide every time. Right. So when you're working in teams and you're working with other writers, you should ensure that all writers and contributors are aware of the style guide and are committed to following it. Right. So consistency is the key to the success of any style guide. So make sure everyone is on the same page. This is when you're working in teams. So you want to make sure that your new writer is not just following Chicago manual of style instead of your company style guide. So you have to establish that consistency. So everyone has to be on the same page. So another tip to effectively use style guides is using templates. So you should consider developing templates that align with the style guide for formatting and layout recommendation. This is similar to creating a reference sheet. So, but this is in the sense that okay, the template can be a like a skeleton of an article in the sense that you can just put the structure that the document has to follow. Okay, this is a template for a tutorial. You introduce the tutorial, what you are building, then you discuss the prerequisites, then you discuss the underlying concepts that you are going to be using and linking to tutorials. So you just like create that template that okay, someone can just pick, edit the title, edit the headings, and just get to work easily. Right. So this template can save time a lot and help writers produce documents that adhere to the guide standards. So the template is already based on the style guide. So that can even help them skip reading the style guide before being able to contribute. So they can just pick, okay, I want to write a tutorial. Just pick the template for tutorial and just read and go through it, then edit the headings and flesh out your ideas easily. Right. So these are some tips for working with style guides. So importance of style guides in technical writing. So ensuring clarity. Technical content often contain complex concepts that may be challenging for the average reader to comprehend. So a style guide helps technical writers use clear and straightforward language, ensuring that the content is accessible to the intended audience. So when you have a style guide, the style guide is going to do all the work of teaching you about the clear languages, how to use terminologies and everything. So the style guide is already doing that for you. So the style guide is already doing that for you. So you can be sure that the content will be accessible to its intended audience as long as you follow the style guide to the letter. So maintaining consistency. So technical documents are often collaborative efforts involving multiple writers and contributors. Without a style guide, these documents can easily become inconsistent in terms of terminology, formatting, and tone. So style guides establish a set of rules that everyone must follow, ensuring a cohesive and uniform final product. So my experience with something like this, like I actually became like conscious of the importance because I've always used style guides and I've always worked with people that already have style guides or have the style guide they use, whether in-house or one of the ones that are popular online, right? So yesterday I just started a role with a company as a technical editor. So it's my like my first time working an official role as an editor, right? So they gave me my first article yesterday to edit, and I opened the article and my eyes hot immediately. Like I couldn't even see what was on the page. Like, what is this? The fonts, the headings, and everything. Because the writer just used um these fonts that looks like all those robotic fonts, and I'm like, what is this? So immediately I just entered, go to the article. I selected everything and I reset the style, the style to Arial, and I just have to like flesh out the whole headings and everything, separate the paragraphs so I can just even be able to read because I could not read it. I was like, what is this? And after doing everything, I discovered that, oh, I don't know if there's another copy for the writer. So I had to like go to the um workspace that okay, I tag the writer that I hope you have another copy of your article because I've already like if you open the article now, you're going to see that I've disrupted everywhere with my own style and the way it makes sense to me. So I had to just do that because it didn't make any sense to me. Like, what is this formatting? Like, there are some fonts that are bigger than the other in the same paragraph. This makes no sense. So I had to like ask for the style guide and they said they don't have it. So I'm in the process of creating one. And this is my first time creating a style guide now. So I'm just going to like pick from the popular ones and the way I work and just give it to them. If they like it, we can start using it going forward. So maintaining consistency is very, very important because the style guide is going to establish set of rules that everyone involved must follow. So to make my job easier as an editor, a reviewer, like once I open the article, I know that okay, this is the header, this is the paragraph, this is a link, this is that, right? So they start using style guides help you maintain consistency when collaborating. So enhancing professionalism. So consistency and adherence to established guidelines convey a sense of professionalism and reliability. Right. So and this is essential when providing information that users or stakeholders rely on. So when you follow a style guide, automatically your your content is will be usable and it will look nice based on the recommendations and the guidelines in the style guide. So users can easily use your content, editors can work with it easily, reviewers can review your documents properly and easily, right? So it shows that you are professional and you have attention to detail. So the last one is reducing revisions. So in my case now, once I give them the style guide, I know that I don't have to like reformat the documents, which is like an extra step that I would need to take if like now that there are no style guides or there's no style guide, I can't people are writing however they like, right? So I have to like revise every single article differently. Like I need to like format every single article before being able to read and provide my feedback. So by providing clear guidelines from the outset, style guides can significantly reduce the need for revisions and edits, right? This not only saves time and resources, but also ensures that the document is accurate and error-free from the beginning, right? So I work with companies that when you submit your article for a review, they go through the formatting first, which was what I also did automatically yesterday. So they send it back when you use things like tables or you use sentence cases um instead of camel case for your headers or sub headers and everything. So when you use a style guide, they are sure that okay, and when you follow the style guide, they are sure that this document is accurate in terms of style, and I just need to like review the deep details, maybe run the code, do um the things that are not repeatable because formatting is repeatable and should just be done automatically without before sending in your draft or your article for review. So so some of the popular style guides in technical writing from the large companies. So Microsoft style guide is like the most popular one. So it provides guidelines for creating clear, concise, and consistent content across its products and services. It covers aspects such as grammar, punctuation, word choice, tone, accessibility, and guidance on writing for user interfaces and technical documentation. So if you're working with a company and you feel like the Microsoft style guide can be used like to write for them, or you are writing an article and you feel like okay, I can use this Microsoft style guide to write this article in a way that will be clear to the readers. And so can you guys hear me? I didn't even do the
Yes, you can.
okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the Microsoft style guide is a popular one. Then we have the IBM style guide, which focuses on also technical documentation, software interfaces, and publication related to IBM. So it provides guidance on writing for clarity, consistency, usability with an emphasis on technical accuracy. So you can use that. The Apple style guide is used by their employees and partners and is also available to the general public. If you feel like the way Apple writes their documentation is something you like, you can use that style guide to guide your writing. So the Genome or GNOME style guide is a resource for developers and contributors to the GNOME desktop environment. So it provides guidelines on user interface design, iconography, and documentation. It aims to maintain a consistent look and feel across GNOME applications. So if you are working on something similar, right? You are working on an operating system, you are documenting an operating system or a similar thing, maybe a design, you are documenting a design process, you can follow the guidelines of the genome style guide. It's just write the contents because it's available online for free. Okay, what's this? So Google Developer Documentation. So Google Developer Documentation Style Guide is primarily aimed at developers and technical writers creating documentation for Google developer products and APIs. So if the documentation looks, if the style guide looks good for you and you feel like you like it, you can use it. So Salesforce style guide offers guidelines for creating content related to Salesforce products and services. So it covers aspects such as writing for user interfaces, documentation, marketing materials, and emphasizes consistency and clarity in communication. So if you are a fan of Salesforce, you can use that style guide to guide your writing. So the next one is, yes, the recommended reading. So the recommended reading will be like the your task for this week. So everything we've talked about, we've covered a lot of things this week. So you can read on them further by using these links. So when you get the slides, you can just go to these links to read more. So you can read about style guides in detail on the Write the Docs website. You can learn how to create a style guide or just read through it. You can read about grammar from the Google Technical Writing course, how to structure your sentences, different type of documents and how to write them. Just they are related to like what we've covered. So your task for this week is to go and read them to expand your knowledge. Then we'll discuss them because I'm going to like read them too, and we're going to discuss them after Monday's class. So if you have any question, you can drop your questions now. And I noticed yesterday that I've been saying if you have questions, you should come to my DM. You can actually drop the questions on the link on the group chat on Zoom. So I can just answer it there in case anyone else has the same question. You can just read. And it will also improve like interaction in the group also. So you can you can still DM me, but you should consider dropping it in the group so everyone can benefit from your question. Right. So everyone understands what we've talked about today and you guys don't have any questions because I'm not seeing any messages here. Also, you can unmute yourself and speak if you have questions. Right. So uh,
Hello.
yeah, hello, good afternoon.
Um, Good afternoon. So actually, I'm kind of like confused on this Thai guide thing. So if I want to write an article, not article, if I want to write on a topic, do I need to look for a style guide that is related to the topic or the purpose of my writing or any type of style guide?
So your question is that do you have to look for a specific style guide?
Yes, actually.
when you want to write an article? The answer is no, because
Yes.
almost the answer is no because almost every style guide you would come across are going to be similar with very, very few differences, right? So the ones I
Okay.
talked about here, like the Apple style guide, Google style guide, are just like, they have their own brand.
Yes.
They have their brand. So they are going to tailor their writing to their brand lingo, their brand formatting and everything. So the way Google formats
Okay.
their documents is not the way every other brand does their own. So you don't need to do that. But the eh, what you need to do is, if you like a style guide and you you like maybe the font, or you like Apple and you want to use their style guide, you can use it because they are going to be giving you specific information on, okay, this is how you should format your article, in the sense that you should use this font size for your heading, this font size for your paragraph, which will be like the same
Okay.
for
Okay. I get it.
yes, in every style guide, right? So it is the same thing in every style guide. The values for the font size, the font style might be different, but they are all guiding you to do the same thing, to present your writing clearly, right? So some style guides are short in the sense that they don't cover so many things. For example, some style guides that I've seen, I work with a company, Content Lab. Their style guide goes to the extent that they talked about pronouns and how you should address your readers. A lot of style guides don't do that, right? So you can just pick ideas from different style guides and use them. And another thing is, everyone has their own style of writing, right? So you have your own style. You maybe you feel like explaining this thing in this way makes more sense to you and you like it. You can do it. You are free, but you
All
just
right.
need that little guidance so you don't just start writing and comparing things and using a lot of different terminologies. So it's just a guide. You can use it, you can choose not to use it. But in most cases, just pick one. And style guide is mostly used when you are working in a team or you are working for a company. So they just want to guide you to minimize how much editing they are going to be doing on their end, right? So the style guide is going to guide you in a way that when you finish your article, you read it again to be sure that you followed the style guide. And doing that means you are doing part of the editing they are supposed to be doing. You are doing it yourself before sending your article. Do you get? So
All right. Thank you.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay. You're welcome. I've dropped the attendance link again, so you guys should. Melissa, you said, can the hyperlinks be dropped on the chat box? Which hyperlinks are you talking about? Are you talking about the one on the screen right now?
you. Yes, the ones on the screen.
Right? Okay, okay. You are going to get the slides, so you can just click on them in the slides.
How will I get the slides on the Zoom?
Yeah, on the Zoom channel. I'm going to do the
Okay.
slide on this. Yes. So it's part of the slides. So once you get it, you can just click on the links and it's take you to the resources. Is that fine by you, or should I still drop the links?
Mm, you said you drop it on the Zoom channel now.
Yes, the slides. So you are going to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, the slides.
Yes, it's part of the
As you,
slides.
okay. So from those slides, will I be able to just click directly on the hyperlink?
Yes, yes, yes. That's why they are
Okay.
colored. That's why they are colored um
Okay.
instead of the regular black. So anything you see that is colored green in the style in the slides,
That's the
yes. So any word or sentence that is colored this green color in the slides are actually links. So you can just click on that to see what's there. So we'll wait a few minutes for questions. Okay, so I'm assuming you guys, yeah, so I'm assuming you guys understand everything we've talked about today. Or I know most of you are just waiting, like, drop the slides and I'll read it later to learn more or something. So thank you so much, guys, for joining today, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.